Ediacaran animals can be very different from their Cambrian counterparts, maintaining Darwin's problem with everything suddenly evolving at once, now twofold in the Ediacaran and in the Cambrian. Searching for answers for Cambrian animals has been a very difficult process for evolutionists. The cladogram of Ediacaran animals looks a lot like this. It was a big step away from microbial mats and started to get any ancestors of modern animals out of it. While in this video I won't dispute that there may be some sponges and cnidaria in the Ediacaran, I will note that Jonathan and Cliff has already disproven all the potential Ediacaran sponges found prior to 2014. I will talk though about basal biotarians and the potential echinoderm later. However, even these are nothing compared to the Cambrian Explosion, which we saw the sudden massive diversification of animals with the creation of at least 17 phyla. For the rest of this video, I'm going to go through some potential Cambrian ancestors and see how likely they really are. A few people have been claiming that Dickinsonian is bilaterally symmetric, claiming taphonomic distortion. This basically means that when it died, it decayed in such a way to make it appear like all known Dickinsonian had glide symmetry, when they in fact did not. This basically boils down to the fossils are wrong. A Drakea's unfalsifiable and unscientific claim. Please be wary of claims like this for Dickinsonia and other Protarticulata. Something I forgot to mention is that the cloudiness also existed in both the Ediacaran and the Cambrian, just like Ediacaria and Treptichnus. Cloudinids have been hotly debated as being either a polychaetid annelid worm ancestor or a cnidarian coral ancestor. While it shares many characteristics of both, such as its tubular structure and asexual reproduction, it was favored as an annelid when it was thought to have open tube structure. However, we now know that it has closed tube structure like coral, but it's more like coral, and has the granular tube microstructure of coral. Unfortunately, evolutionists already have Ediacaran fossils of cnidarians, so it hardly proves much. Next up is Icaria. Why did Cavaratus guy is thought to be biotarian? Merely because it has a distinct front and back, I feel to mention this guy is only known from his tracks. This makes it a bit more dubious as according to evolution, single-cell protists have been making similar tracks for 1.5 billion years. Io Andromeda has been proposed as an ancestor for ctenophores, like comb jellies. However, comb jellies expect a mid-sea ancestor, while Io Andromeda is a bottom dweller. While Io Andromeda may appear like modern ctenophores, it doesn't appear anything like Cambrian ctenophores, like Zhongguanya or Sifu Sanctum. That was a painful paragraph. Alright, well, I looked into it, and I can tell you that Kimbrella certainly wasn't a mollusk ancestor. Kimbrella's feeding strategy is derived and differs heavily from that of mollusks, meaning that it is more than likely not a mollusk. Finko has been proposed as a tunicate, also known as Urocordata, as close as one can get to craniates like Hakioiskis. However, its form far better resembles fossilized pebbles than that of a Cambrian tunicate, like Shankoclava. Yarnemia has also been proposed as a tunicate, but even though it was found 40 years ago, there has not been enough evidence discovered to prove anything conclusive about it. Alzia and Brachia have all been proposed as tunicates as well. Unfortunately, as stated by Jonathan and Cliff, little proof has been made for this for Alzia. Of course, Brachia is similar to and likely in the same family as Alzia. All the possible Ediacaran tunicates have all been stationary, completely missing their mobile tadpole-like larval stages. While this would ordinarily not be a problem, the issue is that nothing else from the Ediacaran swam like a tadpole, nor like a jellyfish. One could be tempted to think this would mean that they originally evolved as being stationary, but this would still mean that they swam like tadpoles in their youth, and their descendants would have to evolve full lifespan mobility 3 separate times instead. Acarua has been promoted as an ancestor for echinoderms like starfish. While Acarua certainly had 5-fold radial symmetry like most echinoderms, not all echinoderms have 5-fold radial symmetry. As one of the 2 first true echinoderms from the Cambrian period, the Helicoplasmoid had triradial symmetry. Continuing on, it is derived much more like the Eleutherozoans of the Ordovician period than anything from the Cambrian, while Acarua could very well be proven to be an echinoderm, with more evidence like an ambiacaral being found. Due to its derived traits, it won't help the Cambrian ancestor problem very much. It was that open up the lack of an Ediacaran ancestor to itself to further scrutiny as well. Well, Plexus Richae does appear to have a front and a back, indicating that it's bilaterally symmetric, it's impossible to tell which side is which. And not in a hallucinogenia kind of way either, but because both sides look identical. Hence, its finders nor I will grace with the title of being a biotarian at all. While Spredina feels to be a trilobite ancestor, primarily because of its glide symmetry, Eulangia is at least bilaterally symmetric with a distinct front and back and body segments. However, it does not have a head and genal spines, and just like Spredina, it doesn't have eyes, a gut, a mouth, an anus, nor limbs, although sometimes this will try to argue that last one. Without any proof, mind you. As far as we can tell for sure right now, it is a bilaterian and nothing more. While not as large as the Cambrian Explosion, the Ediacaran period still saw its own explosion of life. All the Ediacaran organisms had to come from somewhere, but just like how the trilobites, hycoichthys, and all the other Cambrian organisms disappeared out of nowhere, the same happened in the Ediacaran too. While pro-articulata like Dickinsonia and Spredina, or more derived creatures like Cambrian, may not have descendants, they certainly had to have ancestors. However, since all we see before them are single-celled cyanobacterial mats, it seems the Ediacaran had its own explosion of life as well. A sudden boom of sponges, cnidaria, a wide variety of proto-articulata, and basal bilaterians that is just as inexplainable as the Cambrian explosion after it.